did my first round of the world race in 1985. Totally unknown. You just stepped into unknown waters. And of course, when you're growing older, you've done the race more and more times. It's you can look back on a lot of things, and of course, you can say, if you had that crystal ball, can I change this? Could I change that? And some of the races we've been using in the beginning parts, we've been using the winches of an opponent. If we would have known it at that stage, that the development would have been going so fantastic. Yeah, that's of course one of the things where you say, okay, could we have changed it back? Would have made our life way easier. Because it's just still one of these things like you want to concentrate on sailing and on pushing the boat hard instead of just looking after the equipment. And yeah, that is probably in the whole Volvo Ocean Race, just all the things what have been developed during the race. It's not only good for ourselves, but as well it gets used on a lot of production yards as well. But so just the general public who loves sailing, they actually get so many benefits from what companies like Harken do for our sport. People just sometimes don't realize how much efforts they're going into developing a product. And then of course it has to get tested, and then you can bring it to the mainstream. And I think that is something what Harken has done hugely well. First of all, we have to go a long way back in history. That's actually in 1986. It's a long time ago. I got my first job in Germany after doing my first round the world race, and I was building a 42-footer for a German owner. And of course you have to look at the equipment, and it was actually the first time that I looked at Harken. It was called at that days Harken Barbarossa, and it was just weight was everything. And so that was one of the first foreign yards who actually got Harken equipment on the boat. And since then that relationship has been staying, because it was not only the winches, of course, what was special, but just all the equipment what we had. And it was in that stage already in Germany a guy called Peter Frisch. He was the dealer of Harken, and actually from that day on I just got introduced to the gear and actually been 9 out of the 10 times been using the equipment. So, and that's even now in the Volvo Ocean Race. It's of course it's one of these things. Why have they chosen Harken? I think Harken, it's not only about the equipment, that it's light, that it's functional, but I think as well the service what we are getting has been tremendous. Especially, it's just one of these things. You're racing, you want to have the best, but service is still a very big part of it, and I think Harken has done that tremendously. It's not only the winches, it's all the equipment what they are having, the people looking after their customers, and that's nearly as important than that you have good equipment, because these two go hand in hand. But there is a system in place whenever you really need a replacement of a part, that you actually can type it in online and it goes straight away to the boatyard. The boatyard links it to their suppliers. But what I said, so far we haven't been using the link to Harken, so that it's maybe a little bit hard to explain, and I'm sitting over here just talking about the equipment, but it just says something about the quality of what we're having on board, and of course that's nice. This is not a second lap around the world, and most of the equipment hasn't actually been changed, it's just been serviced. And I think in that sense, I think Harken can be really proud just how it's standing up, and probably like sometimes you say a supplier should be trying to sell more stuff, and that's not happening, because the kit stays so well for a long time, and especially we're using it day in, day out, and of course it's marvelous for us because we don't have a lot of service on it, and it's functioning, and that's of course that's one of the things what you want when you're racing. You want to focus on the racing, and not that you have to start looking at the equipment. But I think Harken could be hugely proud of what they've produced over the years. But I think one of the things as well is they're never standing still. They're always looking and making progress, and that we know they've changed some drums on the boat for this edition. Not that the winches needed it, but it was just a little bit more user-friendly on the ropes. And that is just a thing, like it's never ending, and that's really nice that they're making the progress and that we actually can use that. Well, that's just one of these things. If you have a product like Harken, what is very good, why would you go somewhere else? And like for example on super yachts, I think it's 9 out of the 10 are running Harken equipment. Again, the loads are humongous. You're still trying to make it as light as possible, but it has to be reliable as well, especially if you talk like a J-class. We're having forestay loads of 36 tons. and a winch has to be able to pull that, and that is of course something that is not something what you like to break, because the loads are just, yeah, they're just tremendous. And I think that is one of the things, you hardly see any gear failure on a piece of equipment. It doesn't say that you can't break it, because if you're exceeding the safe working loads, of course, then things go bust. But knock wood, I think I can't actually remember the last time that I broke a big piece of a Harken. So that's just a nice feeling, because safety, of course, is just one of the most important things in life. And I think the track record has been extremely well. Well, what brings you back to the Volvo Ocean Race? I think first of all it's the love of the sport. If you don't like offshore sailing, this is not the place to be. So I just love to be going offshore. But I think another big part of it as well, just building up a team and go together through all the tough phases what you have. You have good times, you have bad times. And of course, and I think probably the last reason is I won a lot of races, but I never won the Volvo Ocean Race. So it's still one I like to win. And that is just, I think that's one of the things as well. You're competing for becoming first, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here as well. It's not the most important one, because I love the ocean, but winning would be nice as well.